The Enlightenment had been a time of change in the world, a philosophical movement of the 18th century, an age of reason. The age of reason, to be a bit more specific. Much would have to go into the making of a perfect enlightened monarch. There would be someone who was knowledgeable in means of literature, someone who was encouraging of art, and even a talented artist himself. A monarch who would support classical music and dabble with it in their spare time. Elias Dubois was a monarch who had all of these things and then some. A polite man who had all that one could hope for in a ruler. The people he ruled over were very fond of him, as he was, as stated, all they could have wanted in a king. An artist and a knowledgeable man in means of literature and classical music, a king who was interested in that which his people had been interested in, a man whom they could rely on and put their faith in, someone to care for their kingdom and treat it responsibly. There had been others before him who had also been regarded highly and sometimes even as perfect in terms of enlightened monarchy. Louis XIV, who had expanded the central government's effectiveness, Catherine the Great, who had been a proud supporter of female artists and a strong military ruler, and even Joseph II, who would aim to make his empire more financially secure as well as boost its efficiency, to name a few. While all of them had their pros and cons, one would have difficulty to name a flaw that Elias had. He was perfect, and if he did have any flaws, no one knew of them. From the moment that he had started his rule, he had done all in his power to better his country and make sure that his people were protected and cared for. He had always been a supporter of the arts, which was just one of a multitude of qualities that his people adored about their ruler. It seemed unusual to have someone without flaw as a ruler, but there was certainly no complaining about it either. With nothing to complain about, the people were all very happy. It was a time with very little stress. One could expect as much, however, since their beloved king had everything that they could have wished for. Elias's reign lasted the majority of his life, as it had begun when he was just 20 years old and lasted until the day he died at age 72. His people mourned his death for a long while, but there was always hope for moving on. The king had left them in a secure financial state, and with much to remember him by. They would forever remember their king as many things: a musician, an artist, a supporter of literature, and a kind man, a friend to the people. Elias Dubois had been a wonderful man in his time, and his people would remember him always. Future generations would know Elias as the man who had it all, someone that his people could be proud of, and proud of him they most certainly were and always would be.